One of the biggest challenges that I see when it comes to running any kind of cold outreach, cold email, LinkedIn, SMS, cold calling, is that you need to build lists, okay? And what you're going to encounter is depending upon where you pull data from, there's multiple data providers. Every provider has its own weaknesses, and there's going to be emails that are invalid, people that have changed roles, numbers that don't work, and this is going to happen on a continual basis. There's not a lot that you can do about it. So there's two broad strategies, potentially three that I think come to mind that I find are practical workarounds when it comes to list building. So number one, when it comes to building lists, go broad first of all rather than going deep. So I would never just build one list. I'd build literally 10 lists of 50 phone numbers each. 10 and I'd also build 10 lists in 10 potentially different or associated niches, because if you've got a tool where the problem resides within a particular niche, going deeper in that niche will mean that you might encounter the same problem. But build multiple lists and build small multiple lists rather than building and focusing upon just one list. The then second element to that would be do and follow that same principle if you can from multiple data sources. So if you can then build, for example, 5 to 10 lists, and that can be pulled from two different data sources, you then might discover a list in particular that does work well. So if you're in the habit of, and part of that is increasing your throughput when it comes to the tests that you run. If you only have one list, you can only really conduct one test. But if you have 10 lists, you can conduct 10 tests. And if you think about it, 50 deep contact pieces of contact information is still 50 people. So you should be able to fundamentally determine the quality of that list if you've set up everything at a technical level correctly. You have a phone number that's not listed as spam. You've done anything from an email perspective that you need to in terms of domain authentication, deliverability, and then from a patch LinkedIn process, you have a good relevant LinkedIn profile. And you're not sending shitty messages from an account that doesn't look good. So there is a base to it that requires proper setup. But then beyond that, I think that going broad with lists is a better way to go. So that's the first bucket when you're looking broadly at the challenges that you'll face. The second element of it is that within that, where you can, and because the other struggle might be that you can't get access to the data because there's not much data out there. So and this won't apply to all markets, but if you're so for example, Pearl Lemon are an agency, so we have the ability to target anyone to a degree. I would say that you then want to look at spaces where you can build a infinite supply of lists. So that's where I say map scraping becomes important. Why not scrape a load of businesses from Google Maps? Scrape a load of marketing agencies, scrape a load of CBD shops, scrape a load of private medical practices, scrape whatever you want to scrape, and you will find that then you can potentially get access to small businesses and decision makers. So that could be another thing that you could look at as a means to generating phone numbers. Okay. Now I'm going to go to two more buckets actually, in fact. So the third bucket is what about looking at channel partnerships? So, and obviously there's the constraint is, so this won't apply for everyone, is that might not, if you're calling within an environment where your company aren't looking for channel partners, then that might end up being a non-starter. But if you are in an environment where partnerships could work, then that's a fabulous way to potentially generate high leverage returns. So at Pearl Lemon, one of the ways that they talk about so at Pearl Lemon, we have single channel risk to a degree in that the majority of our leads come through Google search. So if we're ever to get slapped by a Google penalty, then that would be problematic. So that's one of the reasons why, if you practically look at our business, we're expanding that, because I'm investing in the regular production of videos, because I believe long term there's going to be a payoff, and I'll be able to get, I do believe there'll be a roadmap within a year where we're getting 20 to 100 leads a day just from YouTube on the basis of people watching my content, because they say, cool, I like Deepak, I want to engage with Deepak and the company that he stands for, blah, blah, fucking blah. But that's a way that you can do this. So with that in mind, one of the ways, no, so I was just watching a video. There's a company that does fucking 7 million dollars a year, no marketing. All they do have is 8 partners who send them leads. The partners will send them 1 to 5 leads a month each. So let's just assume it's 3 leads a month times 8 partners. That's 24 inquiries a month. And then they've got a high ticket product. So why not look at channel partnerships? Why not look at, for example, Pearl Lemon? Let's say we do SEO and B2B lead generation. We could sell that, or we could develop partnerships with web development agencies. You could ask ChatGPT, what are all of the potential channel partnerships based upon our skill set could we go for? And then you can start contacting partners to establish relationships to say, look, if you've got an overflow, if you've got clients who, need some of what we've got, then we can develop an affiliate partnership. So that's another area that you can explore. Okay, that's another area that you can explore. Now, the fourth bucket that you can explore is when you think, and it's kind of a subheader to the channel partnerships, is that you can contact small companies that have big contracts, and then you can get maybe a leg in or a buy-in from these small companies. So when you think about, for example, the affiliate partnerships that we're talking about as well, there's no reason, if you think about it, that you couldn't contact an independent freelancer, as an example, and they might have a room or doing some work on a huge company like Salesforce. And they'll say, you know what, I'm working with them on content, but I heard in one of the meetings that actually they are looking for a sales team. So I can just introduce you to the marketing director who gives me the blog work that I do. Then all of a sudden you've got a leg in to a big company. So do think about that. There's going to be lots of examples of contractors, freelancers, tiny businesses who work with huge companies, and they can bring you in, especially where they have a good relationship. And if you imagine it around a table, they'll say, "Look, Frank, do you know anyone by any chance?" Or Frank will hear them talking about it, thinking, "You know what? Here's I can introduce Pearl Lemon." So that's another area to really think about when it comes to the way and the way and the approach you can have with building lists. Now, the fifth thing to think about is, if you are not delivering fucking results for your company or for your team, isn't it much better to say, you know what, I had a challenge with the with the ICP, the ideal customer profile. So I kind of just went here and I've got you several appointments anyway. At worst, I'll be slightly annoyed, but it could lead into something good. If the alternative is that I called one list, I didn't get anywhere, but I found these two, three other areas and I'm generating appointments there, present them with a good alternate vision of what's possible. And again, this really relates to bucket number one, that you need to build broad lists based upon the data that you do have access to, and you need to make in logical decisions around, well, what else could I do? So in the practical example of my company, one of the things that we're trying to do is to build up our US sales side in terms of building up a pipeline. But at the end of the day, am I going to be unhappy practically if someone says to me, well, Deepak, I wasn't able to get the green tech companies that have the big contracts with appointments, but what I did do was I found three marketing agencies who say that, look, we're looking for a cold calling team to send referrals to, and actually they're happy to have a conversation. So I've gone ahead and booked that into one of the sales directors' calendars. That's a great fucking alternative outcome. So you need to think expansively about, well, how can I leverage the data that I do have access to generate a good return on investment? So these, if you effectively employ these mechanisms, then you will find you're able to leverage a greater return on investment. And I'll continue a bonus point, a bonus point. If you are pulling from huge databases, let's say, for example, you're pulling from Google Maps and you can get a list of 1,000 CBD shops, then it becomes pertinent to, and this is where technology can make a difference and your knowledge of technology. So there are multi-line power dialers that do exist. So one of the things I'd say practically to the team at Pearl Lemon, if you're in a space where you have the ability to so for example, we've historically scraped phone numbers for marketing agencies in the US to include single man agencies. And as you can appreciate, there's like 5,000 plus agencies. So the way that you can speed up your talk time is by increasing your actual volume of calls. And the way that you do that is that we have historically used triple line power dialers where they ring three numbers at once, and it has a voicemail system that says, oh, I'm so sorry, I just need to give you a call back when it connects if you're on the phone, but it automatically routes you to the person who picks up the phone, massively increasing your talk time. So when you have big lists, they use this quite commonly in the real estate industry within the US, and we were introduced to it by a client, and it's not really hit home in Europe at the moment, but it's a significant competitive advantage when you have big lists and you want to increase your ability to be on the phone and engage in talk time. And when there's a rationale for it, then you can go ahead and look at instituting something like that. So these are my insights when it comes to list building. And I think the final comment that I'll have is breaking free from that mindset that, oh, this list didn't work, I'll try again tomorrow, but having a bit more of an expansive and what I call the champion mindset as, well, how can I make the most of the time that I have? And a lot of people just don't do this. They say, okay, we're trying, and this is what generated my desire to record this video was, being honest, I was getting shitty results from my sales team because people kept saying, this list doesn't work, this list doesn't work. And I thought, wow, people are not doing anything beyond scratching the surface when it comes to building lists or presenting alternate scenarios. So you need to have option B, C, D, E, because there's many routes that lead to Rome when it comes to getting the return that we're looking for. And I saw in part of my team that having this range of areas that they could aggressively explore very quickly wasn't happening. So do this when it comes to building lists, and you will find that you're able to generate better results. And as I articulate all of this, the other thing to consider, it's always aim, if you're targeting companies that are, I mean, even small companies where you have availability of data, and you won't always have this, which is why it's not one of the premier ones, but get 2 or 3 contacts from the same company and just ring them all and see who picks up. So if you have the ability to do that, then there's no problem, because it just expands, of course, your chances of getting through to someone at that company to getting your leg in. So because my team are here, do you guys have any follow-up questions to that now that I've just finished that? Aaron, Riaz, anyone? Questions? Yeah, go ahead, John.
I do have one. When you said affiliate partnerships, what does that exactly mean? How do you
So
structure
we
that?
have had some relationships intimate. So I know agencies that have built their entire pipeline based on having a good relationship, for example, with a web development firm. They have a good relationship with with George, who runs, for example. So we had a relationship with a Shopify agency, and he was just like, oh, mate, can you work on this? Mate, can you work on that? Because we got this client. And we ended up generating around 70,000 US dollars in value based upon one client that came in. But he sent us multiple leads, and I just happened to be a bit pally with him. So if you invest in relationship building with the correct channel partner, then you can get a regular flow of inquiries. So then, John, in your case, because you do, for example, accounting, I would have a conversation with ChatGPT saying, these are the services that we deliver. Who would be the ideal channel partners? So when you think about, for example, your, let's call it power hour, I believe that you should, everyone, to be honest with you, just from a personal development standpoint, if you're a closer, practicing the role of setting for me is still one. So when I say setting, it's cold calling people that you don't know and striking up relationships. For me, it's still one of the most fundamental skills that any person on their entrepreneurial journey can develop. You should develop it, because the IQ requirement to call people that you don't know and to manage all of the questions that come up will accelerate your cognitive development, because it's fucking hard. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to encounter. There's a lot of nerves that are attached to it. So you get a lot of training, which is why in business circles, the people that are often given the most respect are door-to-door salespeople, and then people that cold call when it comes to, let's call it, like sales OGs or entrepreneurs. A lot of the billionaires like talk about it. They're like, yeah, like this is like, people know that it's fucking hard, and you have to have your wits about you, so they respect it in a way that's different from some of the stuff that people do today. So with all of that in mind, well, I would have that conversation with ChatGPT, figure out who could be all of the potential partners, and imagine the change it will make if you have 2 partners who send you 10 inquiries a month. You'd be like, dude, we don't need to do any prospecting anymore. I've got these guys and I'm mates with them, and and they're sending us inquiries. So there's companies that build their entire pipeline through partnerships. Does that make sense?
Taking the excess work from them, or is that what they gain from it?
Sorry, guys, my computer froze for a moment. What I said, does that make sense? And I didn't hear what you said, Johnny. Sorry.
No, I mean that does make perfect sense, but it's just like it seems a bit unilateral. Like we get all the inquiries, what they do stand to make from it. Like we pay per the inquiries, or those that work.
We give them a kickback. We give them X percentage.
Okay.
And a
That's fair.
lot of the time, if you think like also
So,
people want to give referrals to people that they like and trust first. So
mhm.
like, oh, I don't fucking know you. I've got no sense of what your agency's going to be like. But if you build relationships with people, then they're much more likely to say, oh, you know what? I know a guy actually. I had a good chat with him, Johnny, and he's at head of sales at this accounting firm. Why don't you just give those guys a go?
Okay.
So it's about staying top of mind with people. So we all do things with, and this is relates to Riaz, one of the things that we spoke about. We all do things with a bias with people that we like. So it's why being likable is so important when it comes to the nature of how you talk to people. And that's where your competitive advantage could rest, Johnny. So I think in general, you should block out an hour a day in your calendar and focus on cold calling and seeing what you can do to generate your own pipeline outside of everything else and just even for the experience. But yeah, cool. Any other questions that relate to lists, guys?
Yeah, so when you just mentioned about the building connections,
Sure.
how do you keep that connection going? Would you say via email or LinkedIn? What would
What's
be the
that? Like
best
what?
way?
So let's imagine that
Okay.
let's imagine we're doing a cold call, and I'm calling a bunch of, let's say, web development shops, right, who might look
Mhm.
for an SEO provider. I'll say, hey, is this Frank's design company? Yeah, brilliant. Oh, amazing. Look, look, I'll cut. Morning. You build a bit of rapport, whatever. How's it
Mhm.
going? Yeah, good. Oh, amazing. Happy Wednesday, middle of the week. Looking forward to getting across the other side of it. But yeah, you know what? I'm calling from a company called Pearl Lemon. Look, I'll be honest with you. We're an SEO agency. We love what we do. I'd like to think that we're halfway decent at it because we generate, for example, a whole bunch of leads inbound 500 plus per month when it comes to SEO, but we're just looking to grow and expand. And I'm just calling to see if you would be interested in exploring a partnership. I'll be honest, we're looking to find some partners or to find a partner we could develop a great relationship with and just see if there were ever any clients that you have that have a need for SEO and that we could support them with it. We offer lifetime commission on the deal. So, we charge anything from 2,000 to 7,000 pounds a month, and we'll give you 10 to 15% depending upon the profitability that we can bake into the deal. And yeah, I'm just, so that could be by just sending an email introduction, anything from £700 a month to several thousand pounds a month. And yeah, I'm just being honest. I'm just calling just to see if you think you think something like that would be interesting. And if yes, then I'd like to organize, a chat with one of the team just to tell you a little bit about what we do, because of course, I know that we need to build trust. You need to understand a little bit about, how we work and stuff. And if things do go well, then we're happy to give you SEO for free, being honest. I know that that's something that we do with companies that we build good relationships with. So yeah, I'm just calling to just see if that's something that sticks. And if they say no, I'll think about it. Not right. You'd be like, look, no problem. Happy to, have a chat with you in a couple of months from now, or whatever it might be. And then you connect with them on LinkedIn and you try and establish a relationship. And if you've got your LinkedIn going with the status updates and stuff, and imagine doing that with 10 agencies a day. Statistics are that someone might say, you know what, actually, I've got something right now. I know they need SEO, and I think that's an important way for us to win the work because they want a firm who can offer web development and SEO, and we only do web development. So I think, there's a whole range of variations of responses that you could get, if that makes sense, Shania. But that could be an example of a pitch which you can obviously tweak and perfect that will work with an agency because there's a whole volume of agencies, if that makes sense. And all we really need is a couple of relationships.
Yeah, no, definitely. That sounds great.
Yeah, yeah. So, I sent Evan a WhatsApp thing that I'll send to you guys in the group right now as a way to build lists and, partnerships. The value of one partner could be huge, as I said. That one, and I didn't really nurture. That was Adam Blend from I forget the name, but I didn't. Blend Commerce was the name of the company, and his name was Adam. And I will give one of you guys his details again if you want to ring him up and just be like, oh hey, what's up? I know that you used to work with Deepak. Just calling, check in, see how things are going. And there's a couple of guys, another guy called Marcus as well, but he got a bit pissed off. He sent me an inquiry, and then I was really crap with replying on time, so I think that went nowhere. But the point is that you could use this because the value of one good partner, as I told you, that other firm, 7 million a year, eight partners, no outbound, no inbound, all just fucking referrals. And I was like, yeah, cool. This is something that we really should be doing that we don't. So saying that, you know what, I want to focus on building fucking relationships with whatever it might be. You could, Shania, look at, female-led agencies. Yeah, I'm spitballing, but I've sent you the GPT conversation that I had that should be useful into the US chat, and you guys can use that as a reference for the way to think about looking at these partnerships. And then the problem of having numbers to call goes away if you think about Google Maps scraping as well as agency scraping. And then I'm happy to do one user for power line dialing and just see what happens, if that makes sense. And I'll find out what power line dialer we were using and all of that type of stuff. But yeah, there's two options there with Google Maps scraping, which you've got tools for that, as well as the agencies. We can get shitloads of numbers. It's easy. That will then also from Google Maps, because they're all on Google Maps, that will solve the problem of contact time, if that makes sense, on the phone. So then right, I've got 1 hour a day, every day, that I'm going to reserve for internals, and I know that I can at least have a couple of good conversations, because that's obviously the main challenge right now. So, and then I would say, great, let me find 8 different niches within Google Maps that I think could be good, and then we just quickly build 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, and then you might say, yeah, however you want to do it, but that's the way I'd say, right, this list doesn't seem good, switch. This list doesn't seem good, switch. Oh, Deepak, the fourth list that I had a really good damn pickup rate. Now I'm gonna scrape a big list based upon that niche. So that's probably the way that I would do it. Cool. Any other questions about lists, guys? Cool, amazing.
What you just sent in the US sales chat, you said this is for WhatsApp.
No, I said
What?
that I sent that to Evan as a way that he could look at doing outbound activity, building up channel partnerships. So that's something that he could partnerships. I mean the same thing: partnerships, channel partnerships, affiliates. So different words for the same thing. But that's what I sent to Evan when I had a conversation with GPT this morning.
Oh, this was for creating the list to try and connect for internal to
Yeah,
create a
correct. So
partnership.
this is for
Okay.
yeah, correct. I mean, obviously, that some of the things that I said has crossover for the clients that you have as well. But you can ask questions about either side specifically if we're considering lists at the moment. So, any other questions? Cool. All right, amazing.